Today's podcast is presented by Podgo. Podgo is the easiest way for you to monetize your podcast, providing podcasters with a flat rate for ad space so you always know how much you get when you include an ad from Podgo. I recently joined as a member, and you can too. Apply today to become a member and immediately be connected with the advertisers that fit your audience. That's podgo.co at podgo.co.
And please put unprofessional development in the How Did You Hear About Podgo? That will give us a little finder's fee. Thank you. Hello, unprofessionals. So as you know, now we're doing real commercials, not just the silly ones that we normally do. So today I've got with me my daughter Micah. Say hello, Micah.
Hi.
She has an Etsy account. It's called what?
Roo Makes Bracelets.
Roo Makes Bracelets, okay? We'll put a link in the show notes for you for sure. So she makes some friendship bracelets. She even has one that is kind of an unprofessional bracelet where she's made the unpro letters in the bracelet. So if you need a bracelet, go to Roo's Bracelets. Anything else you want to say about your bracelets?
No.
Okay. Well, she's a little kid. She's 11 years old. She's entrepreneuring. You know, support her. And go to Roo's Bracelets. Click the link in the show notes. Thank you. Say goodbye, Micah.
Bye.
Unprofessionals, we need your help. Mealy and I keep trying to explain to the world how special we are, but they won't believe us. Here's what you can do. Check in the show notes for the link to the People's Podcast Awards. And please nominate us so the rest of the world can realize exactly how amazing we are. Enjoy! Welcome, unprofessionals, to another exciting episode of Unprofessional Development. I'm Tedisco.
And I'm Mealy. And today we have with us Alexandria Adams. Okay, that's a lot of A's she has in her name. I'm guessing when she makes her name out of stickers, she has to run out of A's.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
So she is with us. I've met her on the Twitter, as is my thing to do now. You know, before it was the Quora, and now I meet on the Twitter, and who knows what next? Maybe on the Gram, as the kids say.
Fancy.
I don't think I'm going to meet any teachers on the TikTok. Maybe,
on the Tickin' I don't know, it's Chinese spyware, right? That's,
yes, and it's being banned. And I'll only meet, anyway. Alexandria is here. She's here to talk about being unprofessional. We always like to kind of just get started with kind of finding out how they became a teacher and how they ended up here. So kind of walk us through your life as a person and how you decided to become a teacher and how you found yourself into the teaching profession. If you want to talk about what you were like as a student, if that's relevant or not, go for it.
All right. So, well, I guess I thought about it in high school because I remember being a part of the Future Educators of America club in high school.
Oh, that's cool.
It could be that I just joined a bunch of clubs. That's probably more likely. But
Future Educators of America club.
The FEA. Wow. I remember they gave us stuff with apples on it all the time. And when I graduated high school, I went to Christopher Newport University, and I was gonna be a theater education major. That was originally my goal. Was I wanted to teach theater classes.
Cool.
But I ended up bumping heads with the head of the theater department. The way that he ran rehearsals was like you had to call a phone number that day to see whether you needed to be at rehearsal that evening. And I was taking out loans and paying for school myself. So I had a job. And that schedule and working with, trying to work and put myself through school didn't work out.
You can't tell your boss, hey, I'm going to call this number on Thursday, and then if I'm done, I'll tell you if I'm working or not. Yeah,
exactly. The real world doesn't work that way. And I remember he came up to me one day and he said, well, that's the story of your life, Alex. You can't be in plays because you have to work, and you can't see plays because you have to work. When I was in college, I took out student loans. And I was like, I am taking out student loans, but they don't cover everything. So I have to work. And I think probably the next day I went and changed my major. And the closest thing I could get without having to stay an extra year was English. And I liked reading. So I was like, okay. So I went through and I finished my undergrad in English. And then I had no idea what I was going to do. I had a BA in English. What do you do with a BA in English?
I was just thinking about that.
Yeah, I love that. Avenue Q is a great musical.
Avenue Q, great.
Yeah, I love musicals. And I ended up running into my old French teacher from high school, and she told me about this program that the district had, the transition to teaching program, where basically I would apply, I would take some classes over the summer, they'd get me, the preliminary certification, I'd get hired, I'd work for the district for 3 years, and then they would also pay for me to get a master's degree.
That's
and
nice.
So really, it was thanks to one of my teachers that I'm even a teacher at all.
That's cool.
Because, it was awesome. Madam Tony, Christine Tony, if you're out there and you ever listen to podcasts, thank you so much. You changed my life.
We do love you.
For real.
I will say this, though, about your drama teacher. It's not surprising, but I've just known a few drama teachers, and you know what? How I would describe drama teachers? They're dramatic.
Go. Well, I do not
Thanks,
lack
Millie.
any drama. That's
They
for
are,
sure.
for real. I'm not lying.
I love drama. It's good stuff. I used to do community theater all the time. Yeah.
Okay.
We all have it. We like to hear
people
ourselves
described
talk,
you as
too,
dramatic?
I think. Once or twice, sure, yeah. All the time. My family would definitely describe me as dramatic.
Dramatic?
What? Exactly. For shame. So then I got hired at the school that I've been working at for 15 years, Woodside High School, and I got my master's degree in education with an emphasis in literature from Old Dominion. And that's been my journey to becoming a teacher. And being a teacher has definitely had its ups and downs, but I don't think I would change it for the world. I love working with students.
15 years, you stuck with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you teach what level English in high school?
Well, I started off teaching 9th grade. Then they put me in 9th and 10th. I did some elective stuff. There was a 5-year period where I did creative writing. And now I'm mainly doing 10th grade. This upcoming year, I think I'll have 3 sections of collaborative 10th grade English, and then 2 sections of honors, or 1 section of average and 1 section of honors. I don't know. But 10th grade.
So you guys are like on an 8-period schedule up there, or 7 period?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we do
Block
the blocks
scheduling.
down here.
And any book that you particularly love teaching from the curriculum? Like, I always enjoy doing, like, Lord of the Flies with that level, but that's just me.
I love doing Lord of the Flies. I like setting up Lord of the Flies. I don't enjoy the slog kind of in the middle of the book where they get lost. They're like, what? Why are you making me read this? I did do it one time where I did excerpts, and so like kind of the slog in the middle I showed them the movie for, and then we got back into the book, and I think that worked a lot better. When we were doing virtual learning, we all decided as a 10th grade team that we were going to do of Mice and Men because it was really accessible and we all had ebook copies of it and everything. And that actually went really, really well with the kids.
Really?
It had been a number of years since I taught of Mice and Men, and I was like, I don't know how they're going to, but they really, really enjoyed it. Even through the online interaction, they're like, wow, I didn't think I was going to like this book, but I really did. And so that made me happy.
Finally, like 2 books that we talk about a lot of books with English teachers on this podcast, and most of them I have no idea who they are. I've read both of those books. I know who Piggy is, and I know who Lenny and George are.
Right,
so.
Exactly.
Right.
Yes.
So that's all I know.
The literal greatest hits.
Yeah, exactly. The greatest hits of English. To Kill a Mockingbird in 9th grade.
Which I never read.
Oh, you never read it? Oh, it's so good. What else? The Scarlet Letter. That's the other. That's like 11th grade. Shakespeare all the time.
I read A Separate Piece, which was maybe really big in the 80s.
Oh yeah, no, I remember reading A Separate Piece when I was in 10th grade. It was awful.
Yeah.
I hate A Separate Piece with the burning passion of 1,000 scorned angels.
I know.
Jounced isn't a word. Can we just start there? And I just, okay, I'm gonna hold back before the rant starts.
What? What do you mean, old boy? Give it the college try.
Also, can I tell you that I love that you said that you hate something with a fiery passion of 1,000 whatever? Because I always say I hate things with a fiery passion of 1,000 suns. So
nice.
I'm just that I was like, oh, he's going to say my
scorned
praise.
angels. It just seems.
I like it.
Yeah,
I like it.
Well,
more
see,
biblical. And
my
more
dad, when I brought home Separate Piece, my dad who was at that time, my dad's a very emotional person right now without getting into my dad too much, but then he was not really at all. And when I brought him a Separate Piece, he's like, oh, I remember reading that. I cried when I read that. And so when someone that is influencing on you, like your father, so then I go into it with a different lens when I read the book. I'm like, oh, this must be good. So I enjoyed it possibly because of that reason.
I wanted to cry reading it too.
Right, exactly.
Different
Maybe
reasons.
because I was a girl. I don't know. I just that one and All Quiet on the Western Front. I was like, ooh.
Oh, that one's a rough one. That takes a
read
lot
that
of.
One.
Oh, you feel like you're on the Western Front. It just is.
It's a war book.
It's like one of the, when you watch a movie that you're like, oh my goodness, this is taking forever, and the director's like,
Yeah, the reason it's taking forever is because I'm trying to get you in the mood of the characters. See how
Right,
horrible
right,
it
you
is
can
for
see
them
how
to
it
do
really
this?
was.
So this
Benjamin Button is also bored.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, man.
So that's what I quite the most fun is like, we're just going to, drag it out.
Lots of quiet.
Yes.
It's very quiet on the Western
And then you
Front.
stab somebody in the face.
It happens.
Somebody gets blown up.
Yeah, I think there's some gurgling of blood out of the throat, so that's not too quiet, I don't think.
Oh, yeah. Before we go too far down this conversational cul-de-sac, I will say I think my worst experience as an English student, and it might have been just I hated my English teacher because she was awful and she bullied me. But my 7th grade English teacher made us read Huckleberry Finn, and she did it by just playing the audiobook and then sitting behind her desk. And that was like a month.
Oh, wow.
Was it at least a good narrator?
Every day. No.
Oh.
No. I fell asleep every day. It was on cassette. Like, if that gives you an idea. Yeah. Okay.
How about
Had the little ping when you needed to turn the page?
Yes.
How about her lesson plan for the month? I know what I'll do. I need February off. What can I do? Oh, I've got
We'll just
Huckleberry
listen to an audiobook.
Finn. We'll listen to Huckleberry Finn for a month while I just sit there.
This is in New York. They have a union.
Yeah.
They don't need lesson plans.
Right?
Oh my
Oh,
God!
gosh. Oh, my cousin
that's.
will kill me.
I mean,
Teacher here, so.
Wow.
Where were we?
Okay.
Ah.
Hit it.
Alexandria.
Yes. Let's move on from this one to your thing. To this go.
So, I checked your Twitter, and on your Twitter, you describe yourself as a Kahoot ambassador.
Oh, yeah. So I was accepted
Could you
into...
just quickly describe what Kahoot is for people who don't know, and then explain what is a Kahoot ambassador?
All right. So if you don't know what Kahoot is, it is a gamification website. You can build quizzes and study questions and things like that and give it out to your students, and they can use their devices to answer questions. A lot of times we use it in the classroom, fast-paced quiz games where the kids go head-to-head and they're always yelling because so-and-so is faster or whatever. It's fun.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a great, great program. So they had applications to become ambassadors for Kahoot. And so I applied and I got accepted this past school year, and it's pretty cool. I get, to look at all of the new features that they're implementing. I get to tell my colleagues and stuff about it. I get access to all the premium features, so I can kind of push that. I can do professional developments about it. Before the COVID hit, they were like, yeah, if you want to present about Kahoot at this list of conferences that are sponsored by Google, they're like, we'll fly you out there. We'll give you per diem and stuff like that to go and present on our behalf. And I was really excited about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just, it's kind of being on the ground level and getting to give them feedback from a teacher's perspective, and getting to see kind of what new things they're working on. So it's a really cool opportunity, and I'm really enjoying it. Just COVID has kind of made it a little difficult to be as involved as I would have liked to have been. But
did you have to swear allegiance to Kahoot, and does that mean that you're at war with Quizzes?
Quizzes and, what's the other one?
I say Quizzes. We pronounce it
Fancy.
Quizzes here. Yes.
Quizzes. And Gimkit. Yeah, they're the other ones.
Yes. But no, you're not at war with them?
No, I'm not at war with them. I just, if I was called to battle, I suppose I would have to battle for Kahoot, because they gave me a t-shirt, so.
I mean...
Okay, so it's kind of like when England knights somebody. Like, you wouldn't expect Elton John to have to draw a sword and fight, but...
Yes.
Right. They don't always call you in, but there is the chance that I could get called up to battle.
If you kick it down and dirty. To this go, have I told my Kahoot bot story? And
go on.
Alex, do you know about Kahoot bots?
Oh, yes. So that's why I always have to set up the 2-factor authentication on my quizzes. My kids get so angry. And I was like, look, no, I know you guys type in the codes to these bots and you spam our Kahoots so that they don't run. I'm not even going to chance that. You're going to have to, they hate it.
Mine ran, but like all of a sudden, there's like normally 20, 30 kids in your class playing Kahoot. All of a sudden, like the data is populating and there's 1,000 answers to every question. And I'm like, what is happening here? And finally, the kid that did it, we were cool. And he's like, it's me, Mr. Mealing. I'll stop.
I did it.
But he thought it was funny.
So I'll always let kids put in their own names for Kahoot, right? And you'll always have the kids, usually boys, who'll put in something inappropriate.
Yes, 69, 420, something.
Right.
Yeah,
always.
Yeah.
So what I'll do is I'll put the Kahoot code up on the screen. I have a projector in my classroom, and then I'd freeze the image. So it'd just be that, and so all the names would start populating.
So then you can see them, but
in
they
my
can't.
screen, right?
Yeah.
And so what I do is I just let them put in their names, whatever they wanted, and then right before I was about to click start, I just kick them all out and then start it.
And then they
Yes.
can't play because
Right.
they're, inappropriate names. I like
Yes.
it. I like it.
And I'm not I'm not a Quizise ambassador. Like they have, I don't know if they have
Not even
those.
a Quizise pronouncinator.
I am,
There you go.
but I am a huge Quizise proponent as opposed to Kahoot. And the biggest reason is because you can make your own memes that the kids see.
Oh,
I don't know
I
if Kahoot,
do like the memes.
I think I shared this maybe on a previous podcast, but I make memes of the principal and make sure that those show up when you're playing Quizise, and the kids really like that. We had a former principal who was known for her verbosity, and so I literally made a meme like we almost covered up the entire screen of her complimenting them on how good they were for getting the answer right.
Oh my gosh, that's great.
Yes, it was good stuff. It was good stuff.
Fun.
So, it sounds like being a Kahoot ambassador is kind of like a nerdy thing, and your 1,000 flames of flaming things that you guys both have in common. Yes.
Flaming Suns, Scorned Angels, right?
Scorned Angels.
Whatever it is. But you describe yourself as a nerd, and before we even got on, you talked about the fact that you had a video game podcast that you used to host. So,
Yeah.
how does your nerdiness and being proud of your nerdiness influence your teaching, and how do you use that to leverage learning in your classroom?
Well, I definitely think that allows me to kind of like connect with my kids on some level. I talk about my nerdy habits, and like the big game that I played for a really long time was Final Fantasy 14. And that was before I had my son. I was really
And I guess
big
there
into
was
it.
1 through 13 at some point.
Yeah. But Final Fantasy 14 was the second MMO, massively multiplayer online game that Final Fantasy put out.
Ah.
And so, you're playing with people from all over across the world, and I got into the role-playing community, so I would, build stories around my I'm such a nerd, sorry. But I would build stories about my character, and my character would go on missions with her friends, and, I would pay people to draw pictures of my characters.
Nice.
I have, a folder of over, 100 pictures that I've had drawn of my character. I just...
You know what? You
myself
haven't gotten
talk,
any
and I really
tattoos
just sound
of
like
your
a-
character.
No,
so
I have 0 tattoos at all.
I mean, that's definitely at least one line you did not cross. I
What's
have
the name
several
of What's the
friends-
name of your character, and have you named any of your children after your character?
No, I did not. Her name was Zelothia, and I have a son, but I did name my son after a character in a book, so. Yeah, wow. Yeah.
As long as it wasn't
no.
Simon or Piggy, I think he'll be okay.
That's
No,
okay.
his name is Roland.
Okay,
Dark
that's
Tower,
cool.
Stephen
We
King.
didn't do like
Gotcha.
You didn't do like my one friend did. He didn't tell his wife, but they named their daughter after an ex-girlfriend of his that he hadn't told her about.
Oh, no.
No.
Wow, that is not okay.
No. It's
Wow.
not.
Yeah, no.
I did know some kids growing up where to kind of build rapport amongst the children. There was an older brother that was born, and then when he had a little brother, and when he was born, they let the older brother name him, and he was really into Star Wars, so he named him Luke. So they
Oh,
liked
okay,
him.
that works.
Yeah.
That's yes.
And then
That's
their
not-
next child was a girl, and so they let the boys name her,
Uh-huh.
and her name is Cinnamon.
Nice. Oh wow, cinnamon.
Cinnamon.
Yes.
Well, then.
There's some kind of joke referencing a pole that I'm just going to kind of glaze over and just kind
Oh,
of
wow.
move on. Okay. But
I was just thinking, somebody was doing the cinnamon challenge a lot? I don't know.
Oh.
could be.
Oh.
Could be. I have no idea.
Not so much.
Okay, so and how do your kids react to the nerdiness, and do you have any kind of stories about how it's actually played out in the classroom, or do you have kids that try to play video games with you?
Well, they've never tried to play video games with me, but they have asked me what server I'm on and stuff, and I'll tell them that, but I'm like, we're not going to do that. But I have had some of my students who are more artistically inclined be like, oh, I want to draw your character for you. So I've had them draw me pictures.
That's cool.
Yeah, which is really awesome. They've come to me before and they've been like, I'm so glad that you're kind of a nerd and you understand. We'll talk about anime sometimes, and I'm very particular with my anime, but I do watch anime, and so I'll be like, oh, I like this one and that one. They'll be like, oh my god, I just loved it when this happened in this one. And so then we'll have those little moments or whatever. And they've said that it kind of makes them more comfortable and that they feel like that they can be themselves and they don't have to worry about coming off as a nerd in my class, because hey, I'm the queen of the nerds and it's okay. And that even when you're old and a nerd, that doesn't mean you're uncool or a loser. but that, that's just a part of who you are. And so,
Right.
like, that makes me feel good that I can, by being myself and talking about my hobbies and things like that, that they feel like they're comfortable and they can kind of share that part of who they are too.
It really helps create a safe space.
Yeah.
For all the kids. Even the kids who don't particularly like what you like. Just knowing, I can just be myself.
Right.
Yeah, they want to play Fortnite, and I'm totally against that. But whatever, that's their nerd thing. They can do that, just not in class. But they can talk to me about it, too.
And everybody is nerdy about something. I've shared this with my kids, in the past. They're like, oh, I'm like, no, you're a nerd about something. It might be, you might be a nerd about Miley Cyrus. You might be a nerd about college football. You might be a nerd about whatever it is. It doesn't necessarily have to be comic books or anime or, something that is like in the, what we call maybe nerd culture, but you can still be nerdy about whatever it is.
Oh, yeah. Like, we have another teacher in my building, and her favorite band is the Backstreet Boys. So she's just a huge Backstreet Boys nerd. Yeah, yeah. No, she loves them. And people...
Does she go on the cruises?
Backstreet's back?
I don't know if she's ever been on the cruises.
Okay.
But she, when they come around and tour and stuff, she's always there and going to see them, and she has pictures of her with them and stuff, and it's really cool. But people still look at her and are like, "Oh my God, how can you still like them?" And I'm like, "We're adults. Like, we're allowed to like what we like without judgment from other people."
Yes.
And
eventually, there will be 45-year-old women who are still wearing their K-pop shirts.
Right. BTS forever. Yeah, exactly. My son is a nerd. He's 4.5, and he decided that he wanted to watch videos about the Russian alphabet on YouTube, and he knows the Russian alphabet. My mom bought him little magnetic Russian letters.
Oh, cool.
And he tries to spell stuff with them. That's what he's nerdy about. So I'm like, all right, you can do your thing, dude.
How did he discover that he liked Russian letters and being into Russian letters?
I don't know. Like, we were, I guess because he got on the YouTube kick of, like, looking at different alphabet videos, because he was always big on, like, letters and reading.
Okay.
And so there was, like, the Polish alphabet video I remember that he watched, and then somehow he got into Russian alphabet, and then he wanted all these apps about the Russian alphabet. Okay. And, okay, whatever, dude. That's what you're nerdy about.
Okay.
That's cool.
If he really wants to be nerdy, he should learn Klingon. Like, that's really what you want to learn.
Right? Oh,
I always tell my students that back in my day, only nerds knew about Marvel comics and about the Star Wars.
The Star Wars. Oh, gosh. Love the Star Wars.
Here's $10. Go watch a Star Wars.
I actually had a student when I was teaching creative writing, because she knew I liked Star Wars. On my birthday, she got me a little, like, Yoda stuffed animal, and I still have it. She gave it to me. Yeah.
Oh, can I say I'm still mad? Oh, just a little bit. Our prom was on May the 4th one year.
Oh, man, that would have been an awesome theme.
Thank you. And they went with Beauty and the Beast.
Oh.
And I'm like...
Beauty and the Beast doesn't have a cantina scene, so they lost
I'm
out.
like, and by the way, the people who are into Beauty and the Beast, they're already buying tickets to the prom. You make May the 4th the prom theme. Watch the sales of tickets.
Going.
Because those kids are staying home. But you tell them it's May the 4th.
Usually to watch Star Wars.
Right.
They would buy a ticket, and that but oh well, missed opportunity.
We would have to confiscate a lot of lightsabers.
And really, bikinis are not promatized.
That's true. You can't come as Leia bikini, or the lady with the
Queen Amidala.
No. The one that dances for Jabba the Hutt.
Oh, yes. I know
with
who you're talking about.
I knew that name.
They're the Twi'leks, right? They have the thingies. Yeah.
Yes, it's like I have elephant trunks coming out of my skull.
Yeah, basically. The Twi'leks.
Twi'leks. There you go. See,
I know that because I played the Star Wars MMO too for a little while.
Cool. Yeah, there you go.
My character was a Twi'lek.
I knew that back when I played Star Wars Bounty Hunter, so yeah.
Yeah, there you go, see?
But it's all fallen out of my head. It was all replaced with, like, English knowledge about, like, J. Alfred Prufrock. Okay. Alexandria.
Yes.
We're going to give you magical powers.
Ooh.
All right? We are going to let you affect the entire educational universe. The Eduverse, if you will. All right? We're going to let you add and or subtract one thing from the entire Eduverse in order to help fix it all.
Right.
What would you do with this divine ability?
I'm going to take away buzzword philosophies.
Oh,
Can
Are you
I
not a
do
fan
that?
of rigor?
you can do that.
Or Lexiles?
Yo, my gosh, the Lexile levels and I
Not
just
growth
wanna get rid of it
mindset.
all.
Please,
And, like-
please, can we keep growth mindset? It's
No.
barely there. It's barely an infant in the buzzword world.
I want to get rid of all of it. And then can we stop repackaging it with a new name and pretending like it's something new? Cause that's the thing that drives me crazy with education. Like, you want us to teach us cool things, but we don't have to use buzzwords every time, and it doesn't have to, like, be recycled every 4
But
years.
how will we know who's been doing, like, training and reading books and doing all those things? How will we separate ourselves, as the star-bellied sneeches do, from the true educators and the non-educators? Yeah, the star-bellied sneeches.
They can come in our classroom and observe us and know that we're doing things right. I mean, that's what right? That's how that works.
I guess so. But if you don't say the words,
buzzword,
then you're not cool.
SEL, I mean, I like that, but let's get rid of the buzzword around it.
Well, two things about that. Like, number one, when you turn something from a practice into a buzzword, it gets politicized very quickly.
That's true.
My gosh, yes.
And the moment politics gets involved in education, it all falls apart.
Yes.
I found that. And number two, I think one of the problems is when we cling onto a buzzword, we then start collecting a lot of data on it and realizing that it won't fix everything.
Right.
So, like, when there was that push for grit, like 2 years ago. And then they did tons of research and like, yeah, actually socioeconomic status impacts people way more than grit. It turns out if you're poor, it's harder to learn.
It's harder to overcome stuff.
Who knew?
Who would have thought?
Right?
Not having support at home to help support your educational process because people are working makes it more difficult to succeed.
Or because they don't come from an educational background either, because maybe they're children of immigrants or come from a home with low education.
Right.
I mean, there's no easy fix.
No, and it's
buzzwords always present themselves as such.
Right, like, we're going to be amazing teachers if we all just circle up and we talk about how we're feeling, or if we make sure everybody's moving every 10 minutes and we're switching.
What about,
great.
You have to set expectations. Expectations.
Oh my gosh, what's your learning target, right? How are you going to... Yes, let's use Blackboard configuration. Everybody will know what we're doing, right?
I don't know what Blackboard configuration is. See, now I'm not in the club.
You don't know that buzzword.
I'm a sneeze without a star on my belly.
How are you going to survive? Right?
I don't know. I'm not cool.
I remember, like, my first run-in with, like, a buzzword was back when I was still in college. Like, I was getting my teacher education. Mm-hmm. And the big pushback then was, different types of intelligence.
Oh, right.
Right. So, some students are more kinesthetic, and some students are more verbal, and some students are more textual and whatnot. And so I presented like a lesson that I'd planned out, and my teacher said, well, what would be your plan for students who aren't verbal learners? And I said, they're going to have to learn verbally. That's an important, like,
no, you can't do that. You have to appeal to all the learning styles.
Like, you need to work on their weaknesses. If I'm not a kinesthetic learner, I still need to drive. Like, I can't read books on driving and just patch it all together. Like, you need to, like, part of life is to get all these aspects and put them together, even if they're not your strengths.
Right.
Right. Our job is to support them where they're weak and to challenge them where they're strong.
Right. Not to just be like, oh, you're a better visual learner. Here's some pictures of all this, like, and do that for everybody all the time.
Well, won't that raise your test scores?
Depends. What kind of a mood are my testers in?
There you go. Nice.
What's the socioeconomic status of your test?
Right. I think of that as like, by judging teachers based on their test scores as like judging a dentist based on how many clients come to them with cavities, right? You can give them a toothbrush. You can show them how to brush their teeth. You can give them toothpaste and send them home with all that stuff. But whether they do it when they get home, that's not on you.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That's how I've always thought about it.
That's good. Okay. I like that analogy.
Thanks.
Okay. And did you want to add anything to the Eduverse? Now that we've got rid of buzzwords?
Let's get rid of buzzwords.
And the Eduverse is so empty without them.
Can we add respect for educators?
Ooh.
I don't think I understand.
Well, yeah, I know. What is this? Trust the process, trust that we know what we're doing, and don't be afraid to get rid of the people who don't know what they're doing.
Yes.
Right? Like, I
That'd
think
be
that,
nice.
that we can do that. Or we can support them to become better, but if they have no desire, we don't need to keep them around. I don't know.
But it always stinks to work in a school, especially if you're working like very closely around teachers that you know aren't good at it. Because we all care about teaching. We all care about our students. And it's tough to watch somebody struggle, but it's also harder to watch the kids not succeed.
Yeah. Oh, we've had some teachers in our building who, yeah, and you just know. And you can't do anything about it because that's got to come from the top down.
Mm-hmm.
And you try to support the kids as best as you can and just hope that, you know, the right decisions are made.
Yeah.
And it's such a difficult process, too. Like, I'm not saying that we should make it super easy to get rid of all teachers because Lord knows people would take advantage of that. But, like, the ones that we really know aren't.
And the challenge is is that for them, they have some of them no place to go, or they feel they have no place to go. And I don't know how you do that and have some kind of way for them to. I've had two friends who, like, for a while they were really awesome teachers, and they got out, and I said to both of them when they told me that they were finding other employment because they were both like barely 30 and slightly over 30 or something like right around between the 28 to 32 range. And I'm like, I'm so glad you got out before you burn out. I said, because we don't need, you know, and I do understand, and I can see that, and everyone has a different level of tolerance. And if you've been doing it for 15 years and now you're making, you know, not like great money, but you're probably but if you're going to start a new career, you're probably going to have to take a pay cut. It's challenging, and I don't have a good solution to that. But and I'm going to quote Dr. Phil here, which sorry about that, but but I used to watch Dr. Phil before I got tired of watching
with the
him.
mustache.
What's that? But
apt description.
So they had this couple on, and they had some kids, and I mean the couple, it was brutal. They just, it was painful to watch them. And Dr. Phil said them, they're like, well, why? He's like, why are you together? And they said, well, we don't want our kids to be from a broken home, which still obviously is another word that kind of has negative connotations. But he said, would you rather them be from a broken home or be in a broken home?
Right.
And I'm like, oh, that's like a good argument. I don't know how to argue against that. And that's some of the things. It's like, would you rather these kids, you know, like these kids are in a broken classroom to some degree, you know, and it's better for the teacher and better for the students and everyone involved, and you know, like you said, we do need to find ways. Hey, maybe some kind of change of how you're doing things. Maybe you get something different. Maybe you go through some kind of program or whatever.
Right.
And then schools have those, but I think, oh boy, I'm gonna step on some toes. I think some of those programs that the schools have are just so they can check boxes. So that they are justified in firing the teacher.
Instead of, let me actually help you.
Right.
To
yes.
do better.
Hey,
because I think that takes a lot of work. Yeah.
You're going to teach half your load for the next year. And the other half, you're going to sit, well, the other one quarter, you're going to sit in a classroom. Teachers. And another quarter, you're going to meet with, reflect, whatever it is it's going to do, some kind of processing of what you saw. And really do that. And, you know, we're going to take as much stress off of you, you know, maybe even let you pick your class or whatever it is, because maybe we can do something here, you know. And I know that sounds extreme. Let's be serious,
but the stress causes some of these problems because at some points you're just like, I can't handle this. Let me take the easy way out for a little while because it's too stressful, and you know, and that's kind of
And then you have someone that says, you know what? Forget this. I'm just putting on Huck Finn on tape for the next 30 days.
We're going to listen to Huck Finn.
And the emotional exhaustion is real. Like, that's a real issue. Like, our brains can only take so much.
Yes.
I mean, the 15th time in a week some kid comes to you crying, like, you don't have anything left.
I don't know what else to do. Yeah.
And if you're a bad...
that stinks.
If you're a bad teacher, it doesn't mean you're a bad person. You know what I mean? You know, I'm bad at hammering nails, you know.
You can learn how to do anything.
You can.
If you put the effort into it and you have the support, I think, like,
and you have
to an extent.
Support.
Yeah.
I think the one that's the hardest one to teach, I have these three things that I always say, and I don't think they're written in stone anywhere, but they're my three. And I say you need three things to be a teacher. And I say you need to have love of your content, you need to have a love for kids, and you need to be able to own the room. And by own the room, I mean when you need to be able to command a presence. You don't need to be bossy, but you can do it in all sorts of fashions, through humor, through just being, and
that's
energetic.
going to be different for everybody too.
But the kids need to know that that's the one that's running the show here, and we're not.
Otherwise, you're just the adorable welcome mat.
Right.
I mean, and some people just don't have that personality to own a room of 30 people, and I don't think that's super easily taught. I think it can be. I think it can be grown and matured and fine tuned. But I think if it's some people,
if you're kind of a doormat, they're gonna walk all over you and.
Yeah, there's people who that are just. Could you guys please be quiet now? I just want you to listen here.
Worked with people exactly like that. Yep.
And they have the other two. They love you get them and you sit at a table with them and talk to them about English or math or whatever their subject is, man. They are just crazy about it. When they have a chance to meet with a kid and they're talking one-on-one to a kid, they have that compassion, they have that support, they love that kid. And it's like, okay, but if you can't like command this presence, figure out how to do that, then you are just toast, and it's going to be horrible, and you might devolve into this screaming person, or you're just going to shrink, and it's just going to be like a craziness going on all around you. So, and I don't know how to do that, how to help someone with that, honestly.
You're going to be the science teacher that hangs out under the fume hood all day.
Have they tried rigor?
They could try rigor.
Maybe they're just. Their learning style is different. Their teaching style is different. That's what it is.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, one person I knew like that, they went into teaching college, and there you didn't.
It's a completely different world.
Right. Yeah. People were like, "Oh, I want to hear what you have to say. I'm here to learn. I've paid for this.
I paid lots of money for this.
Right.
Yes, I'm gonna
That's
hear.
Where it's at.
Right. And I'm most likely taking a class. 75% of the time that I have an interest in, especially if you're going to be teaching 200, 300 level courses. So then it's a whole different thing. And so then they were able to make that transition, and it worked really well for them. And I think they're still doing it, and they like it.
Yeah. So. Teaching isn't for everybody, and that's okay.
It is.
It is okay.
Yeah. And since you have magical powers, we'll put them in the place where they should be, where they're going to really enjoy their job and be happy and all that kind of stuff. So that's where we'll put them in with our little magical powers. So now, ladies and gentlemen, the reason you tune in, besides just nonsensical tangents, is to hear funny stories from the classroom. Okay. When I was talking to Alex on the Twitter, she said she had some funny stories, and so these better be funny, young lady, or we're just we're never releasing this podcast. Okay.
Oh no.
Yeah, you take your Final Fantasy somewhere painful. Anyway, 1,000 burning suns to you.
Oh my god.
Yeah, no pressure.
No pressure whatsoever. Wow.
I know. I don't know why I went there, but I did.
I've been doing this for 15 years, so I've got, my kids say the darndest things, especially high schoolers.
They do.
So I remember one of the moments that stands out to me, and I don't know why, but we were talking about April the giraffe. It was when that whole thing was going on.
No idea what that means. April the giraffe?
Was she giving birth? Because that's all giraffes do.
You
so
don't
I
remember when
the
April the giraffe was having her baby?
No.
Oh my god, it was a big thing on the internet. You guys...
Nope.
Maybe you're not...
What year do we think this happened?
Hang on. I can pull it up. Let me see here. Where's my
April the giraffe.
But maybe sounds like a bad Shel Silverstein poem.
Yeah, right. It was in 2017.
Relatively recently. Oh.
Yeah. So no, April. The
was Harambe there to
Oh no! Oh my God, no!
Can Harambe be the godfather of April the giraffe's offspring?
No. Yeah, no. We are
all right,
not.
Good night, everybody.
Yeah, that's it. Harambe. We're talking about Harambe. That's over. Done. Stick a fork in me.
You started it.
Yeah, April the giraffe lives at some park here in New York State, I think. And she was pregnant. It was a big thing because I guess giraffes giving birth is a big thing. And
well, physically it is, but anyway.
Yeah, literally, they drop it's like 4 feet that they fall.
Wow.
And land on the ground.
Yes.
Anyway, so April had given birth, and one of my students was like, "Oh, did you see that April the giraffe gave birth?" And I was like, "Yeah." So I think we had a couple minute conversation about it, and then I'm going back to whatever it is I was doing, and I overhear one of my students saying, "Ooh, it came out of her butthole." And I'm like, "You're a high school sophomore, and I'm pretty sure that you've had family life every year. Like, giraffes do not give birth out of their buttholes." I said, "Giraffes give birth just like we do. They don't poop out babies." And they're like, "Dogs and giraffes have vaginas?"
Oh.
And I just stared at them for, like, literally at least a minute. And I'm like, are you serious? And they go, "Yeah, I really thought that dogs gave birth through their buttholes."
Oh,
I'm like,
God.
Child, what? No,
Wow.
no.
And that child went on to become a veterinarian.
Yeah, I don't, yeah. I just, that was one of those moments that I was like, really? Really? This is what we teach you?
And that's definitely going to be like the next 10 minutes, because no one is moving on from that. No one's going like, okay, so
everybody
back to Lenny
looked at this child in the classroom, like all the other kids were like, really? Really? You think that they give birth through their buttholes? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, no, it's not like a chicken that has like an all-purpose orifice. Like, they have specialized places for giving birth, guys. Like,
and like, you don't want to like insult them, like you don't want to tease them or mock them.
I didn't know that about chickens. I just found that out, so I'm dumb.
Oh, yeah, the cloaca. Yeah, it's like the
Cloaca.
all-purpose orifice.
Oh.
Eggs
Good for
come
chickens,
out of there,
I guess.
and everything comes out of there.
And things go in there at some point.
Yeah, it's, yeah, see, look, you learn something new every day, right?
Yes. Is that in the nugget?
They grind it up. You never know. You don't know what part you're eating. It's in the pink paste, right? That's what McDonald's makes their nuggets out of.
Can I go to Chick-fil-A and order grilled chicken cloaca, whatever it's called?
Please? Oh, God. Oh, only the finest cloacas. That's what you get at Chick-fil-A.
Oh.
No.
Ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate you unsubscribing.
Oh, God.
Thanks for trying it out.
Oh, that's good stuff.
Speaking of weird conspiracy theories, I suppose, here's another story. My students, for a while, when we were in creative writing, when I was teaching that class, I had one class that was just really obsessed with the Illuminati. And so everything that they could possibly tie back to the Illuminati being a thing,
right,
they would try to do. And I have to read this because I wrote it down exactly what they said. So they were unlocking the mysteries of the Illuminati, and one of my kids, quote, "Oh my God. So Eve ate the apple, right? And it was given to her by the devil, right? Well, what's the most popular electronics company? Apple.
Oh. And
their logo has a bite taken out of it. I'm pretty sure that Steve Jobs is an anagram for something evil, like Steve, Teve, Eve bit into the apple. See, Eve, evil, Illuminati confirmed."
Wow.
We cracked the case wide open.
Yep, they
And how much was that? How much were they doing that ironically, and how much were they serious? Do you know?
They were being totally ironic. This group of kids was just that's just how they were.
They just like doing it. Oh, that's.
Oh
good
yeah,
stuff.
yeah. Oh, like, and they would write stories about the Illuminati, and yeah, they would write all sorts of weird stuff. I had one student write a story about a teacher going to battle against a student. Like, the student was coming at the teacher with a fire extinguisher, and the teacher had a letter opener, and the student managed to trip the teacher, and the teacher acted like they were dead, and then the student came back over them, and then the teacher stabbed them in the ankle with the letter opener.
Oh, wow.
I got some really interesting stuff from the creative writing kids.
That's a lot.
Yes.
I was always worried about teaching something like creative writing, because when you open up that door, when you have kids just peel open their brains, you don't know what's going to spill out.
A lot of times it was a lot of, like 2-word stories. I'd be like, yeah, try and get like 2 pages done in a day. And I was more concerned with them churning out writing, because really the way to become a better writer is just to write.
Right.
And they would sit there and stare at the computer screen for 90 minutes and be like, I don't know what to write. I'm like, here's a website you can go to that gives you story starters. Here's this, here's that. And they would still just not churn out anything.
I took creative writing as a senior in high school. And this is all I remember, was that we were only allowed to use, and we'd have to write like a 2-page essay or whatever it was,
Mhm.
you know? And we were only allowed to use forms of the verb to be 5 times in a 2-page essay.
Oh, that's interesting. I like that.
And it forces you,
Sure,
A,
teacher
to be
James
creative.
Joyce, who would put that kind of restriction on themselves?
B, as a teacher, you then have to teach a lot of kids all the forms of to be. Because they
Wait,
don't...
to be? What's that mean?
Because they don't get it. What do you mean
You
was?
mean like my cousin,
how is
Toby?
was a form of to be? That's not to be.
Right.
I didn't say
I
be.
be going to the store. Right, that's all be. Yeah.
Yes.
You
So
are. That's
no, but it made you choose verbs.
instead of just descriptions. Oh, I like that a lot.
Well, there you go. That's my gift to you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Don't know if I'll ever teach creative writing again, but if I do,
Right.
that's a good one.
Yeah.
I used to give them, I would be like, all right, I would pull up a dictionary and I would pull out random words and I would have them write and I'd be like, okay, in your next sentence, you need to use this word. And then they would have to figure out how to work that in there. And then I'd give them another 5 minutes to write. And then I'd be like, okay, now you got to use this word.
Or
That
pass
was
the
always
paper around where we're going to
We
write a
did some
story
of those
together.
too. Yeah. I don't know. They always they didn't like that. They did I had them create character. Oh, this is again nerd side joking. I was like, all right, you're going to create characters. And I brought them to this RPG character maker so they could visualize what it looked like. And then they had to write a little backstory. And then I had them get together in pairs and have their 2 characters. They had to write a story about their 2 characters that they made. So that was kind of fun.
Yeah. This is more elementary, I think, but we had we'll play with our kids. We got some game on it. My wife got it. It was called Story Cubes. You know what that is?
Oh, yeah. I have story cubes. I love them.
Okay. You just roll it and you get it's got words or pictures or whatever it's got. I can't remember what it's got on it. And they come up and there's 4 or 5 things and then you have to make a story with those 4 or 5 things.
No, that's great. I love it.
Cool. Are we good on funny stories or do you have another one that you wanted to share?
Yeah, no, I have one more.
Go for it. Go for it.
It's not. I guess it's a little funny. So
Okay.
we were talking.
We'll decide
we were
that.
talking about- yeah, we were talking about something, and I think I brought up the fact that in Futurama, how they had the heads in jars.
Yep.
And I was like, yeah, it was if you had Nixon's head in a jar, and one of my kids, completely serious, goes, "Who's Richard Nixon?" And then somebody else in the class goes, "Wait, what movies has he been in? TV show, something?"
Oh.
And I
there
just
you
had to
go.
look again. This is really? You're 10th graders and you don't know who Richard Nixon is? The first one goes, "Are we supposed to know who he is?" And I just looked at them. I was like, maybe you should have paid a little more attention in civics class in 8th grade? I don't know. I think that's when they teach the presidents, at very least. I don't know.
Yes, and he's one of probably the most infamous, at least other than the current sitting one, president. Because
he's not a crook.
Ford and Carter, I would not expect them to know at all because they were really boring and didn't do anything very much, But Nixon, kind of famous for, basically.
He was the first memeable president. You'd think of it that became a thing, and that was the meme of the heyday was "I'm not a crook," right? And that was
right.
Yeah. You'd think
yes.
that would be the thing you would know. I don't know.
Yes, but it is now. Let's see, 20, 30, 50 years ago.
Yeah.
So. I had a similar experience when I was in high school. I grew up on Long Island and was in a 10th grade honors English class. Can't emphasize that enough.
Yeah.
So I was in an honors English class, and Long Island, the biggest thing that happened there, literary-wise, is Walt Whitman. Walt Whitman, born and raised Long Island. And he changed poetry forever, right? So, of course, we got to learn about Walt Whitman. And so my teacher, at the very beginning of the year, we're going over the syllabus, right? It's the second day of class. And she's going through all the things we're going to learn, and she mentions Walt Whitman. And a girl in my class goes, "Wait, is that a mall?"
No, it's a bridge. Was that the response? The correct answer was, is it a mall? No, it's a bridge. Yes?
No, I believe her response was she gave her a look that just said, "My heart is dead," and then moved on with the syllabus.
Yeah.
In the girl's defense, there is a Walt Whitman Mall on Long Island because how else do you commemorate the old great poet?
Right. I celebrate myself and shop myself.
Yes.
Right.
I think there is some beauty in both poetry and malls.
I sing the Ray-Bans Electric.
Yeah, there you go. perfect. Yes, glass hut. Good times.
Awesome.
Oh,
Okay.
man.
Well, I think we're
Alexandria,
gonna...
I had so much fun today.
Yes,
Thank you so very much for having me. This is great.
Yes, we have really, really enjoyed you, Alex, and we approve of the funniness of your stories. Okay.
Oh, thanks.
Yes, and you don't have anything to promote. You don't have a book or
no, I'm just a regular teacher. Just
Tedesco
doing her
said
thing.
you had a blog that has like 3 posts on it that you probably don't care much about, right?
Well, yeah, and honestly, like I always start off blogs and then I'm like, I'm going to do it. And I do it during the school year. And then summertime comes and I'm like, I'm not doing anything because I'm on vacation.
But
and
if we
I'll
do
probably
post
pick
your
it back
Twitter,
up in the school year.
if we do post your Twitter handle and someone wants to DM you and play you in Final Fantasy 75,
yeah, totally.
then that's, you would do that, right?
I'll be unbound and waiting for you. Come
in
on.
fact, I don't know if
go.
she plays it. We had.
Yeah. Ada.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So she's a gamer. Do you ever play with her or not? Because we had
I've
her on
watched
recently.
her on her Twitch account and stuff, and we talk periodically. Yeah, I like her.
Okay.
She's good people.
Okay. Yeah, she was. Yeah, we recorded with her 2 weeks ago, I think. Yes, is that right?
Or if anybody wants to play Animal Crossing with me, we can do that too. You can come on my island and give me
cool.
stuff
Yeah.
because I don't have anything cool.
Awesome. Again, thank you for being on here. We really appreciate it. And as we always say, stay unprofessional. I almost forgot what we always say.
Thank you guys so much.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to our conversation with Alexandria Adams. Next week, Mealy and I are going to be interviewing a good friend of ours named Blake Polk. So come on in for some laughs next week with Blake Polk.
We've been doing a lot of teachers that I know from the Twitter or from other places, and now we decided to actually bring one that I actually knew before I was a podcaster, and Tedesco knew before he was a podcaster.
Back when we were mortal men.
Yes, yeah.
Normal humans, like the rest of you.
Yes.
You're up on the pedestal.
It is, I know, it's hard being
Like the
famous.
great philosopher Randy Newman said. It's lonely at the top.
Is that who said Randy Newman?
How you
said
doing,
that?
Polk?
Okay.
I'm doing well.
I thought he said you've got a friend in me, Tedesco. Isn't that what he said?
Yeah, he did.
He also definitely sang a song about little people, but I wasn't
He
paying
did.
attention to the
Yeah,
lyrics.
He did. Oh, back in the day. Oh,
You know
when
what?
you could do that.
We're not going to talk about teaching today. Just Randy Newman. We're going
Randy
to go
Newman?
for 45 minutes
Oh,
on Randy Newman.
okay. I love L.A.
And you don't like it. All right, so Paul,
Basically, he wants to be, what's his name? He wanted to be Jimmy Buffett, but couldn't quite pull it off. Is that, am I wrong?
that's the
Those
saddest
aren't
sentence
margaritas in
I've
it.
heard in a very long time.
But I'm not, but I'm kind of close. Like, he would love the following that Jimmy Buffett has, and they basically are not too far off from being the same person in terms of personality and songwriting style.
I mean, I would love to have the following that Jimmy Buffett has, too. I just don't want to be anything like Jimmy Buffett.
Okay. Oh, we just lost half our Jimmy Buffett audience.
Poor Jimmy Buffett.
So, all right, Paul.
Jimmy Buffett during the summer.
Yes. Yeah, that's when you got to unleash
It
your
is.
inner Buffett.
Yeah, it's like if you're not wearing white, like after Labor Day, Jimmy Buffett also, you cannot listen to him either, I think is pretty much the case.
Well, what if I am searching for my lost shaker of salt?
Yes.
All right, Paul. So give all the loving people at home a rundown of so what do you teach?